December 6th, he decided it was time for a new victim. He had befriended Rudolf Suter, who was a Hungarian horse trader. Suter had just sold a horse to a man in Parkersburg, and Eisel allowed him to visit his rented apartment near the railroad depot. At this point, Eisel took out his hatchet and hit the man in the back of the head, killing him with one blow. Of course, that was not good enough for Eisel. He then took a cotton glove and shoved it in the man's mouth for some unknown reason. Then crushed his temple and slashed his throat from ear to ear. After all of that, he was able to steal $75 from Suter and went to pay his debts off. An exact month later, on January 6, 1868, while introducing himself as John Schaefer, he went to pay another debt to a coal merchant named John White. He asked for a receipt, and when White turned his back to write one, Eisel got his hatchet out and then swung it toward the man's head. Unknowingly, White moved at the last second, and the blow hit his shoulder. As he realized that he was being attacked, he yelled murder, and several men that had heard it ran to his aid. Eisel ditched the hatchet and attempted to run, but was caught by the police not long after the attack. After they examined his belongings, they found a towel and a cotton glove they suspected that he was going to use on his next victim. They also found items that belonged to Ulrich and Suter. Eventually, Eisel confessed to the murders in the presence of a Catholic priest and other witnesses, and later he wrote out a full confession. Following his arrest, Eisel was placed in protective custody as a large crowd gathered outside the jail. This crowd wanted to lynch him. His trial was held 2 weeks later, and he pled guilty to all charges and even presented his written confession. In the confession, which was written in German and was read aloud by an interpreter, he expressed remorse for his crimes and asked forgiveness from both his German and American countrymen. He also emphasized that his wife had no idea what he was doing. He also urged people to continue to practice religion to avoid becoming like him. During his hearing, he appeared calm and responded in quiet no's or by shaking his head when asked direct questions. He was found guilty and sentenced to death. The presiding grand jury read out the verdict detailing the crimes, and the speaker also remarking how tragic it was that an educated man such as Eisel had chosen such a dark path. On March 6, 1868, Joseph Eisel was publicly hanged in a field outside of Parkersburg. Supposedly, the event was attended by around 5,000 people, and Eisel had to be led to the gallows by a squadron of militia. If you're wondering why that many people came for something like that, that was entertainment. They didn't have TV. And a lot of them were poor, so you didn't get a lot of hangings and things like that at the time. So when you did get something like that, that was huge. That was a big deal, and everybody wanted to see it. So they would make it a whole day. They would make lunches, they would have picnics, they would sell wares. It was a big party, and it was celebrated. But that concludes West Virginia's very first serial killer. He was definitely violent, and his victims all suffered overkill. A lot of overkill. But I'm kind of curious. Do you think that he had more victims? Do you think that it's possible that he was killing in that 6 months that he supposedly had a cooling off period? Or do you think he actually had a cool off? I'd love to know what you think. I appreciate you for joining me for this episode, and I look forward to bringing you the next. But until then, stay true and whatnot. Bye, guys.